What's going on YouTube? This is Dr. Waddy, and today I got another prescription for you. I'm going to be bringing you guys my signature build, and this is basically the build that I have come up with based off of a lot of research and a lot of trial and error. Currently, I can't actually even use the build appropriately. Let me get into explaining why, and you guys hopefully will understand why this is such an awesome build. Basically, this is how the skill layout is going to set up. Basically, revenge here is your major way of keeping yourself alive in terms of regaining your health, because that's obviously a big deal, especially as you start getting into Inferno mode. Later in Hell and early in Inferno, mobs start hitting ridiculous, and by the time you get to Act 2, it is said to be impossible for Barbarians to pretty much solo and continue to go on. However, I am disproving that today. The second ability I get, like I said, is Revenge. The first ability is really, it's just filler. It's just there to give you a little bit something else. A friend of mine that has done a lot of research with this, he appreciates Cleave more than I do. Some people like Bash with Pulverize. Personally, I like Frenzy with Smite. It makes a really good addition on boss fights because that ability to chain stun is very nice. Anyways, getting into the core of the build here, I choose Nerves of Steel for the extra 100% armor. This is a high vitality build, and so because you're going to have high vitality, having high armor is obviously a good point. Relentless is actually an incredibly good passive to have. While below 20% life, all skills cost no fury, which isn't really the big point, but all damage taken is reduced by 50%. That is huge. And considering how hard these monsters hit and such, it is actually incredibly hard not to be under 20% health most of the time. Superstition, again, this gives you 20% more resistance to everything that isn't physical, and because we have Nerves of Steel, that's pretty much rounding out a lot of our survivability right there. Into the skills. Now, this build basically makes you the tank. You are the tank for your group. So because of that, you need to have Threatening Shout, and that's not only going to lower their damage, but that's going to cause them to all attack you no matter what. It's an actual taunt, which is perfect, obviously, if you're trying to tank. The second and the most crucial ability in these, well, the second and the third are the most crucial. Overpower with Reflect Incoming Damage rune, Crushing Advance. Okay, 30% of the incoming melee damage is reflected back to the enemy for 4 seconds. And then with Ignore Pain, it reflects 50% of ignored damage back to the enemy. And you can understand that, although those I don't believe they add up to 80%. I believe it's multiplicative and not additive or something like that. But anyways, those of you who are good with statistics will understand what I'm talking about. But basically, you are going to basically have the mobs kill themselves on you. Now, the whole point of this is that you need to build yourself to be just this ridiculous tank. And this is the part I was talking about that I haven't been able to do yet. Impunity is the rune that I use with Warcry in order to give you an extra 50% to all resistances, and that's pretty much permanent because it's up for 60 seconds and you can use it every 30 seconds. So this gives you 50% damage reduction, this gives you 20% damage reduction, this gives you about 20% damage reduction. So that's about 60 to 70% right there. And this is the crucial part. Now, when it comes to your gear, currently, I am all magic find and a lot of damage. As you will see, I have a crap ton of strength and overall damage, and I basically built this to farm. This was a build that I had set up when I had a tank with me roaming around. So this is not the armor you're going to want to use. In fact, the kind of armor you're going to want to use is this right here. You want high vitality, and you want high plus to all resistances. That is huge because a lot of the damage that you are taking is coming from magic. So not only that, but you want a glyph for intelligence because intelligence also raises your resistances. So, or not glyph, socket, I mean, whatever. So any items that you can get with sockets is the better. Throw intelligence gems in there, get as much vitality as you can, get as much armor, get as much of all resistances as you possibly can. Now, I'm going to go and show you guys this little build in action. Please understand that this is the worst possible armor setup that you could have to do this build. So, yes, I'm going to die horribly. But I hope that you guys will be able to see kind of what I'm getting at by having these abilities. I am still able to tank relatively well, unless I, you know, get dunked on by an arcane enchant there. So you have to learn to avoid some of those things. Oh boy. Okay, so I died pretty quickly there. Again, keep in mind that a lot of this damage would be mitigated. Now, how do I know that this is going to work? Well, one of my buddies is actually in Act 2 of Inferno right now, and he's clearing this, and he is saying he's not having much problems at all. And even he doesn't have a full suit of all resistance / vitality gear. So you have to keep that in mind. And although you are probably still going to die quite a bit, this is one of those builds that allows you to be able to actually kill some of these champions and such as that while being able to stay alive. And that's majorly the problem right now, is we can't figure out how to stay alive long enough to do the damage we need to do to kill the monsters. Again, like I said, I do not have the correct armor for this, so I am taking quite a bit more damage than hopefully you will when you use this build. So keep that in mind. Try it out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked this video or you found it helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my other medical advice. And until next time, remember to always read your side effects label.